This is the MochaFootball.com.
The MochaFootball.com.
This is the MochaFootball.com weekly podcast.
Damon, it is that time, Damon. We have finally made it, man. We finally made it. This is round one, week one of the playoffs. We've been waiting for this for a while, Damon. We've been waiting for this for a while. I'm very excited. I'm happy about the way the regular season ended out. Before we continue, shout out to everybody that played this season, man. Shout out to all the teams that busted their butts and did what they could to get their teams to the playoffs and everything like that. I'm pleased with all the effort that I've seen. Give me your quick thoughts on the regular season as a whole, Damon. Looking forward to the playoffs. What are you expecting?
Overall, the season went kind of how we expected it to. I mentioned this last week on the podcast. There were a few surprises, both good and bad. But overall, for the most part, the contenders and the playoff teams shaped up how we thought they were going to. It was an exciting season. There was some awesome play across the board in the county, from the top teams even down to the not-so-good teams.
Right.
But overall, I'm extremely happy with the season. Teams made progress in every way, shape, and form, not just from season to season, but game by game. There was definitely some improvement. As a whole, I think Montgomery County football has taken a step forward for the playoffs pending. So, with that being said, playoff time. I'm super excited. We are less than 24 hours away from kickoff. There's so many intriguing matchups across the board in 4A and 3A this year. So, I'm very, very excited.
Right, absolutely. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. We got a lot to talk about, so we're going to get right into it, man. First and foremost, we're going to talk about Richard Montgomery hosting a playoff game, which is something that, well, some people predicted them to have a really good season, but I don't know how many people would have stood up and said Richard Montgomery will host a playoff game. So this is something that is monumental for this program. Coach Klotz, he's over there doing his thing over there, man. And Northwest and Richard Montgomery faced off not too long ago, and while the score was 29-12, I believe it was still a close game. If you actually was there and watching it, Northwest jumped up on Richard Montgomery really, really early on. Richard Montgomery actually fought back, but I just don't think that they had enough offensive firepower. Now, Richard Montgomery has Northwest coming to their house. I'm pretty sure that thing's going to be packed. It better be packed, right? And Northwest is, a team that's kind of been a little bit up and down this season, but let's just be honest. This is a team that's battle tested with the great quarterback that they have in Mark Pierce. I mean, when you're talking about playoff football and football when it counts, this kid right here knows how to get it done. So Northwest has the biggest trump card in the whole playoffs right now. Nobody else outside of, I believe, Franklin has somebody that has 2 rings right now. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. He's the guy that out of everybody else, he knows how to get it done. And I think that's a comforting feeling that Northwest has going for them. But honestly, I think that they should be on high alert, because Richard Montgomery has some players that can hurt them. They have some deep threats in Daniel Alexander. Of course, we've detailed Jordan Green multiple times on the podcast. I mean, this kid is a big physical kid, and it's not only his running ability. If you know anything about how RM is structured, I mean, the way he does on the defense side of the ball is just as important as what he does on the offense side of the ball. So that's going to be a real interesting matchup right there. I'll predict it. I believe it's going to be Northwest 34, Richard Montgomery 17. I think that Richard Montgomery, and I think it's going to be a close game for a little bit, but I think Northwest is going to pull it out at the end, and I think they're going to be staying with a semi-comfortable lead. What do you think about this game, Damon?
Yeah, this is an excellent matchup. As you mentioned, it's a rematch from the regular season. Northwest won 29-12. But there were some bright spots for Richard Montgomery in that game. Jordan Green went over 100 yards. defense seemed to get their bearings. Eventually, it was too little, too late. They were able to get a couple of turnovers. They intercepted Mark Pierce one time, but overall, it just wasn't enough. But with that being said, Richard Montgomery is one of those teams I mentioned at the top that has improved week after. They have improved week after week after week. Even going into week 8, they still have some doubters.
Right.
But they closed out the season in spectacular fashion.
Absolutely.
A 9-1 record, first playoff appearance since 2005. Over a decade since the Rockets have been in the postseason. But unfortunately for them, they're facing the one team that was able to slow them down during the regular season.
Right.
I still am going with Northwest in the victory, but I think it's going to be a closer game than it was during the regular season.
Okay.
If for no other reason than the trajectory that Richard Montgomery has been on, I don't expect it to take a dip in the playoffs.
Right.
I think Coach Klotz is going to have them ready and focused. Obviously, they're pouring over the game film from the matchup in the regular season, and
Right.
some of the mistakes they made, I think they're going to have corrected. I still don't think it'll be enough to pull off the upset, even though Richard Montgomery is at home in this matchup.
Right.
They're at home and they're the higher seed. But I have Northwest pulling out the victory 21-17.
Right, absolutely. Moving along, let's go to this Blair Quince Orchard matchup. Blair's heading over to Quince Orchard for the second time in a row. Blair's made the playoffs, which, we gotta give a little shout out about that, Damon, because that's a very impressive thing after having a long drought. For Blair to make the playoffs in consecutive years is a very, very big accomplishment. Something that not a lot of teams have done in their position. So, shout out to Blair and what they were able to accomplish. They're going over to Quince Orchard. Quince Orchard, to me, is in a place where, they know their roles. They understand what they have to do to win. When you're talking about, I think one of the most impressive transformations, and it really wasn't a transformation, but one of the most impressive things that I've seen from QO is the play of Doc Bonner. But Doc Bonner has been one of the most consistent players in the county, and I'm not even talking about from a stat standpoint, understanding of the scheme, control of the game. He makes checks at the line. He's just poised, man. I just like his poise. I like his composure. I like, I can tell he has the makeup of a great leader. And I think that steadiness at the quarterback position is great. Created a lot of opportunities for QO. We all, our favorite player and the guy, that we think that kind of makes the engine run for QO is Sean Barlow. And of course, Marvin Beander coming in, Isley Kim. That three-headed monster right there, that's going to be tough for anybody in the state to stop. On the defense side of the ball, Brandon Nolan, the middle linebacker for Quince Orchard, number 3, he's playing lights out right now. I think he's in a zone. Guys like Fofi Bazzi has stepped up at the corner spot. I think that QO is in a really good spot right now, and they're trending upwards. Blair, I think that they had a really good season this year. They put up a lot of points, and they had really close games versus two of the top teams in their division, which is Paint Branch and Sherwood. And if you would ask them, they believe that they probably should have beaten one of the two, if not both. But unfortunately, they didn't. They ended up getting kind of pushed around by Damascus, the final game of the season. So I'm kind of worried about their mindset going into this game a little bit. But I'm sure that, this is a new season. You kind of put everything in the past. Cliff Carter, Amari Brooks, Chris Green, along with their quarterback Desmond Colby, a guy that I was very high on going into the season. Those guys, you already know they're going to be looking to put up points. My biggest concern is And you kind of saw this with Paint Branch. When you don't have a consistent running game versus QO, it's very easy for the coaches to adjust and get something for whatever you're trying to do. And you know, that's going to be my question for them. I think that Blair's going to have to establish the run in this game. I got this game 31-0. What do you think about this game, Damon? 31-0 Quince Orchard. What do you think about this game, Damon?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Blair had an outstanding season. 2 close games to Sherwood, and Paint Branch didn't go their way, but they handled business for the rest of the schedule, and they were rewarded with the playoff spot. Unfortunately for them, they get the number 1 seed, Quince Orchard, who, as you mentioned, is trending upward. Ever since that opening season loss to Damascus, QO has consistently gotten better every week, similar to Richard Montgomery. It was capped off with the season closing dominant victory, in my opinion, over Paint Branch. Outside of the first drive of that game, I felt no indication that this was going to get away from Quince Orchard.
Right.
They were able to move the ball consistently in the running game. You mentioned the 3-headed monster, Beaner, Barlow, and Kim, but you might have to add a 4th head to that with Doc Bonner.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, they broke. Yeah, he definitely hasn't had to do it much this season, but in that game, he definitely showed that he's another weapon in the rushing attack that you're going to have to account for at some point, or he's gonna burn you.
Right.
He's only a sophomore. He has good size, great speed, and as you mentioned, his poise running the show is well ahead of his age.
Right.
He's a solid signal caller for the Cougars. With all that being said, I agree with you. I think Blair may get on the board late in the game after it's said and done. I'm going with QO 38, Blair 7.
Okay. Very, very similar to the Paint Branch game.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to play out pretty much the same.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Blair's a good team, but it's not in the cards this year. QO just has too many horses, and they're trending upward.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you. Next game we're going to go to, this is the first 3A game. We're going to talk about Seneca Valley at Ligonor. I think everybody that's in our county right now, and anybody that's been in our county for a while knows the kind of team that the Ligonor Lancers are. Tough-minded team, gritty, will always have good offensive linemen. But this year they have some different elements, man. This kid right here, Butler, Devon Butler. I mean, he adds a different element to them, and he's a kid. He's their big playmaker at the running back spot. Nathan Musselman, the quarterback, he's a kid that semi-big kid, 6'2", 185, big strong arm. He's a senior. He knows what he's doing within the offense. They run a multiple style offense as well. This is probably the most wide open I've seen Ligonor in a while. They bring different elements to the game. I think that Seneca Valley, similar to their Week 9 matchup with Damascus, they're gonna have to focus in on stopping the run. But I think that they have some elements where they're gonna be able to match up with Ligonor. And also, Ligonor is also gonna have to deal with Seneca Valley's two-headed monster with Golston and Felix Platt. This is a really interesting game to me, Damon. I would really love to see this game, but I have to go down to Sherwood for their home playoff game. I'm really excited about that. We're gonna get into that in a little bit, but I'm gonna go with the Moco team, man. I'm gonna have faith in our squad. I'm gonna go with Seneca Valley 17, Ligonor 14. I'm gonna go with that, and hopefully, the Moco team pulls it out. What do you think about this game, Damon? And how do you think this match was gonna play out between, out of conference rival, if you want to say?
As you mentioned, this is a matchup of two of the more storied programs in the state of Maryland. Obviously, Seneca Valley, they're known far and wide for their legacy.
Right.
What more needs to be said? Other than this, last year, let me just say this: we have returned to normalcy. Seneca Valley is back in the playoffs.
Right.
Everything is now there was a disturbance in the fourth. The universe was a little bit off kilter. Things just didn't feel right without the Screaming Eagles playing late in November.
Right.
Everything is back to normal. So, with that being said, congratulations. Last year they had their playoff streak broken, which stretched back all the way to 2000. They had a 13-year playoff streak going, that's a pretty strong run. That's
right.
a pretty strong run. They travel up to Frederick County to take on the Ligonor Lancers, who not quite as storied as Seneca Valley, but nothing to turn your nose up at. They've won 5 championships in their school history and numerous runner-ups. They're a stalwart in the Maryland State playoffs.
Right.
I think this is going to be a defensive battle. This is going to be.
I agree.
An extremely low-scoring defensive battle.
Right.
It's one of those games you might want to strap it up extra tight because there's going to be a lot of pad popping going on.
Right.
It's tough to call, but I'm going to go with the Screaming Eagles defense making a key stop late in the game to preserve the victory. I got the Screaming Eagles coming out on top, 13-10.
I like that score. Very similar to mine. Next game we're going to talk about, and this might be the game that I'm most excited about. We have Watkins Mill at Wheaton. Now, the significance of this game is these are two programs that have struggled in the last decade or so. Haven't had a lot of success other than, from some spots here and there. Watkins Mill is a team that, going all the way back to August, I said that they will win at least one playoff game. And I'm hoping that I'm going to stick with them. I think that Marco Grant and Daquan Wims and all those guys, I think that they're going to pull it out. Now I understand that, with Dominic Sims over there at Wheaton and Blake Williams and all those guys, and Wheaton has a really good and physical offensive line. But if you look at the last week of the season and what Watkins Mill was able to do against them, I think that was a very good indicator of what I expect this week. Now, I expect it to be a little bit closer than, I believe it was a 33-0 blowout. I think I'm going to go with Watkins Mill in this one, 24-14. And, I think there's going to be a lot of pad popping, man. Just like you said about the last game, I think that both teams are going to play really, really hard, really, really aggressive football. And, I expect this one to be kind of close. What do you expect in this game, Damon?
Let me just first get this out of the way. Congratulations to the Wolverines and the Knights. Both teams are back in the playoff after a long absence. For Watkins Mill, it's been a while. Their last playoff appearance was in 1999, folks. That's a stretch right there.
Yeah.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch when, you say decades, plural. So, congratulations to Coach Watson. He has a good thing going on over there. And the same for Wheaton. Congratulations to the Knights and Ernie Williams, who's getting that program turned around. and don't let the records fool you. I mean, there's a lot. There's arguments going on, but the playoffs are what they are. But
right.
Both teams have made dramatic improvements, regardless.
Right.
At the end of the day, the Watkins Mill Wolverines and the Wheaton Knights are better programs in 2015.
Right.
So hats off to everybody involved. But that being said, this is a rematch of last week. That typically doesn't happen often in the playoffs, but it's always interesting when it is. If you just look at it on the surface, Watkins Mill did work on Wheaton last week. They did what they wanted to do on offense and defense, and it ended up in a shutout, 33-0.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be easy to say, okay, more of the same this week. But with this quick turnaround and the fact that Wheaton had the playoffs locked up, whether they won or lost,
mm-hmm.
that gives me a little pause.
Okay.
I'm still going to go with Watkins Mill in the victory, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near 33-0.
Right.
I'm looking at 20-7 Watkins Mill.
Okay.
I think Markel Grant is just going to be a little bit too much for the Knights to handle in back-to-back weeks.
Right.
Yeah, Markel Grant is a special player. As our coworker Matt Miller said, if he was at another program, they'd be talking about him like he was the next coming of Randall Cunningham.
Right.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to disagree with that statement. He's a special kid, another sophomore in the county that looks to be he's on the trajectory to be, a very special player. So,
right.
If everything goes as expected, he'll be leading the Watkins Mill Wolverines to the regional finals.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Next game we're going to talk about. This is kind of where we're going to go into a little bit of unknown territory. Magruder at Potomac. Magruder is another one of those teams that hasn't had a lot of success when it comes on the playoffs in recent years. This is a big thing for their program, and I believe this is the second year under their head coach. And they really fought a lot of things this season. They had a lot of ups and downs, but if you really look at their games, they were more competitive than they've been in the last 5-6 years, and they gave a lot of teams some trouble. And they can score. They can definitely score. Brian Juarez, he's a really good running back. He's a kid that's been carrying that team. We talked about them, talked about him in particular in the preseason, and he really lived up to everything that we're talking about. Potomac, when I look at them, they're a very balanced team. They have a quarterback that has over 1,500 yards passing. They have a running back that broke 1,000 yards, and they have a wide receiver that's over 1,000 yards. So, I mean, you're talking about complete balance, a really, really balanced team, a team that can do multiple things here. What do you think about this game, Damon? I'm gonna go with the Moco team. I'm gonna ride with the Moco team, man. I'm gonna go say Magruder pulls this one out, 28-21. What do you think about this game, Damon?
I'm going to keep this short and sweet, ladies and gentlemen. Magruder, similar to Watkins Mill and Wheaton, have made it to the playoffs in a long time.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing. We talked about this in the preseason, how we possibly could get 3 teams in this region into the playoffs, and sure enough, it happened.
Right.
Congratulations, Coach Fowl. Good job. Now they have to travel down to PG County and take on Potomac.
Right.
I'm I'm going to say it right now. This will be your first 4 seed upsetting a 1 seed in the playoffs. I think Brian Juarez and Ben Wilson are going to have an outstanding game, possibly the games of their career, to lead Magruder to a 29-21 victory over Potomac, setting up an all-MoCo regional final in the 3A South region.
Hey.
Which automatically means there will be a MoCo team in the semifinals.
That's crazy.
Records be damned. This is going to be how it shakes out.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, that I mean, you know, we already know where we're going with the whole thing, but man, that'd be insane if we can get that. Next game we're gonna talk about. You already know this is the personal one, Damon. This is the personal one. This is the
yeah.
You know, we had a little drought. People had us dead, buried, but we came back. You know what I'm saying? Where's my man Future at, man? You know, I thought it was a drought. We got something going on. We got a home game. You know, we got a home game. People thought it couldn't be done, but it got done, especially after that little forfeit situation. Bounced back. So Bel Air's coming down, and they're gonna get that butt whoop. Period, point blank. I ain't gonna keep this short and sweet, man. I ain't gonna mess around this one, man. 42-0. Get out of here. We're done. What do you think about this game, Damon?
Yes, I know what you're saying, and I agree. With all that the Sherwood Warriors have gone through this season, I'm extremely happy and extremely excited. And not only are they back in the playoffs, but they're also hosting a playoff game and welcoming Bel Air from Baltimore County down to Sherwood. Yeah, I'm with you. There's nothing that I know of Bel Air and have seen, and what I've seen of Sherwood to believe me that this will be nothing more than a running clock game. I have Sherwood winning 42-7 and going to the regional finals.
Absolutely.
And that's how MoCo does it.
That's it. No discussion. Now, look, I saved this game for last, man, because let's just be real. Let's keep it honest. You know, Oakdale. Now let's be real. Oakdale had a good season, right? But it's unfortunate. You know, life's unfortunate. Some people are born poor. Some people are born rich. Some people are born with gifts. Some people aren't. You got the unlucky draw, Oakdale. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. You know, Jake Funk and Marcus Vincent and those boys, they're going to continue doing what they're doing. And this is going to be a relatively easy win for Damascus. I got this one going 48-14. No questions. It's never going to be in doubt. We're going to keep it moving. What do you think about this game, Damon?
Yes. Congratulations to the Oakdale Bears. This was their first foray into the 3A classification. They had an outstanding season, 8-2. But yeah, now you're playing with the big boys. You're running into a juggernaut led by All-State, All-Met, future Maryland Terp, Jake Funk, and his boy. And yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of chatter. I read all the blogs. Folks, this game's not going to be close. I got Damascus winning 35-14. Oakdale will probably get a score late in the game after it's out of hand. But yeah, once again, setting up an all-MoCo regional final in 3A West, which will be
man,
no matter what happens,
3 out of 4. 3 out of 4, baby.
In the semifinals.
3 out of 4. And if one of those teams can knock off Franklin or something like that, oh man. Oh, we're gonna have a party on Thursday and Friday. In fact, we're just gonna move all of Montgomery County up to Baltimore for a weekend. We're gonna rent out hotels. We're just gonna take off the whole thing, and we'll be ignorant.
And if you're interested in group discounts at the Hilton, I got the hookup.
There you go. There you go. I also know some people, so just let us know. You know, like, look, man, if y'all want to just spend the weekend out in Baltimore, like, let's get that thing done. Hey, kids, if you listen to this, let's make it a party, man. Let's make it an all Montgomery County party up in Raven Stadium, up in M&T Bank. Let's get it done. Damon, you got anything else you want to say?
As usual, if you have any questions or comments, you can message me at Nomad Anderson on Twitter, or you can send me a message on the message boards at mocofootball.com. Ladies and gentlemen, the playoffs are here. The real season will be beginning in just a few short hours. Moco football will be spread all over the county. We're going to try to be there in person for the majority of the Moco football related games. I'm going to be at the Blair QO game. Shocker. Kevin.
Of course.
I know it's a big surprise where you'll be.
Of course. You already know. I'm going to be in Sandy Spring, baby. You know, that's what it is. That's all I got to say.
Matt Miller is going to be covering Watkins Mill Wheaton. I'm assuming our fearless leader K-Dog will be at Northwest Richard Montgomery. Yeah, we do it. We got a whole bunch of people at the Damascus game. I mean, we have more correspondents at the Damascus game than necessary. But appreciate your support. I really do. You guys are awesome. Love the Hornets.
Absolutely. Well, that's all the time we got for this week. See you next week in round 2.